Welcome to Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Bobby Pomenveld and I'm your reporter on the arts. I am going to have two of my favorite people from the Phipps Center for the Arts today. And I'll introduce you to John Potter, the Executive Director. Welcome to the show, John.
Thank you, Bobby.
And Anastasia Sharton, who is the Visual Arts Director at the Phipps. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank
Our
you.
audience may have seen you a few months ago on one of those wonderful collaborations you did. So we're going to start with Anastasia today. And you've just finished a very busy summer with Art Camp, the Member Spotlight art exhibit. And could you talk about that a little and the success of it all? And then what's happening in the art area this fall?
Yeah, sure. Well, yep, summer was busy as usual. There actually doesn't seem to be a slow season at all at the Phipps. We have plenty going on. So yeah, summer was great. Lots of kids really enjoying making art in the ceramic studio and painting and drawing. Just Add Water classes too, so kind of art and nature as well, and had the Just Add Water lab. For drop-in experiences. So, yep, a really exciting time for summer art camp. And then with our members exhibit, we've kind of opened that up so that there's performing artists as well as visual artists, and really trying to represent all that the Phipps brings to this community in terms of the different creative expressions. And so that's pretty great. And it's actually still on view through September 9th. So we have a little bit more time. Not sure when this program will air.
This will be on soon, so I think we hit the right timing.
Okay, excellent.
So through September 9th.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so though we are already turning our attention to the fall, and we have a couple of really big things coming up. In September, the Spirit of St. Croix Art Festival, which is an annual event that we do in collaboration with the Hudson Area Chamber of Commerce and Tourism. And for that event, we organize the Artist Village. So we have about 90 artists who will be there with their work to sell. There's yard art, jewelry, painting, sculpture, glass, drawing, leather, fiber, wearables. Yes, there's
Really?
and that's paired then with with music and food and lots of fun hands-on activities as well.
One of my favorite things. And the dates are, I believe, September 22nd and through the 23rd.
Correct.
Saturday,
It's
Sunday.
a 2-day festival.
Lakefront Park, and it should be beautiful.
Oh, let's hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah. Last year it was incredibly hot, unbelievably hot, and but I almost prefer that over the rain. So let's just hope for nice, good weather. It's good
We've
fall
had
weather.
a lot of hot and humidity, so but you know it's kind of fun to go down there, and I've enjoyed it with the music and the food. And you know what I've noticed? People walking out of there with sculptures, and they love the garden sculptures.
Yeah.
And I do too.
Yeah.
So I'm with them.
Yeah. There's, as I said, there's really lots of great things, and it's great to get to talk to the artists as well, and kind of get some insight and background into process and the ideas, and where they come from and why they do what they do. So, just really great event all around for the community.
Perfect. I hope you get the good weather.
Yeah. Thank you.
So the next thing on my agenda is the Heart of the River art exhibit.
Yes, so that's where September is a really big month for us. Not only with the art festival, which again, brings thousands of people, down to Lakefront Park for it, but we also this year are presenting an exhibition called Heart of the River, celebrating the first 50 years of the St. Croix National Riverway. So it's the 50th anniversary of the Wild and Scenic Rivers Act. And, the St. Croix River is designated as a wild and scenic river, and it's part of the National Park Service system. So we've partnered with the National Park Service and with the St. Croix River Association for a multi-part exhibit. There's photography by Craig Blacklock, who's a world-renowned photographer. He did a project working with the River Association of photographs of the Namakagon and the St. Croix River. publish them in a beautiful book, and then we have the great pleasure of being able to show a number of the photographs that he took during that.
Yes.
So that's one part of Heart of the River. We also have 14 ceramic artists that we're presenting in collaboration with Northern Clay Center. And we also are the premiere of a new interactive video game that is inspired by the history of the St. Croix River by Dave Beck. Dave Beck is a professor at University of Wisconsin-Stout. So that's very exciting. We've been trying to bring that to the Phipps for quite a while, and everything just finally fell into place. So
that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that inside the Phipps?
That will be inside, yep, in our overlook gallery. So it will be, you know, and you get to hands-on, get to play the game.
Oh
and
my goodness, they're going to love it.
yeah, I think so. I think all ages will really
I think
enjoy
so.
it. It's aesthetically beautiful, but then also content-wise, it's incredibly rich. And so you get to kind of explore the history of the St. Croix River culturally and also environmentally through that.
It's wonderful.
And then to top it off, we also have a juried exhibition that's part of Heart of the River, and that's local and regional artists, and there are 50 artists in that, just to match the 50th anniversary.
So the galleries will be full.
Galleries will be full, yes.
And 50 artists.
Yeah.
You must be using every space.
We are using every nook and cranny.
So neat. Wonderful.
So the opening of that is Friday, September 14th. From 6 to 9 p.m. And it will be a really fun event.
Oh, wow.
Really fun event. Not only will the artists be there, and Craig Blacklock and all of the other artists, and Dave Beck, and will be there, but then we will be screening the video, or the film, The Wild and Scenic St. Croix, that was done by filmmaker John Call. So we'll have some screenings of that. We'll have music, bluegrass music with the Grit Pickers, just to kind of keep you,
I
keep
even
you
enjoy
moving.
that. I think that's so neat.
Yeah.
Great. You put that all together, and that is one of my favorite things.
Yeah, there's a lot more. Cake and champagne also, celebrating the 50th
Big
anniversary.
excitement, and that's all on the 14th, you say?
All on the 14th, yep.
Okay,
Free,
I'm
open to the
sort of
public.
making a mental note because I really want to be there. I do, and that's a
Good.
great time for me.
Good. Yeah, I'm anticipating that, again, the Phipps will just be, humming. We'll have
And
a lot
I
going
love
on.
that this honors the river, really. And I think it's such an important thing in our community. And I have interviewed a couple people like Buck Malik that I know will really be enjoying things like this.
Yeah. Buck's going to be bringing Scrappy, our splashing bass, the Riverfest mascot.
Oh, that one.
So
yes.
Scrappy will be there. And
Okay.
Yeah,
I do remember
so lots
that.
of fun things to see and do.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the next thing, I could talk with you all day.
No.
You also have been having the Art Bench Trail pop-up Art and Nature. You have to tell me what that is.
Sure. The Art Bench Trail, they're community art projects throughout the St. Croix River Valley. There's 9 of them currently. And so we have planned events that happen at them. We did a series of books and benches events where we collaborated with local libraries and gave away books there at the various benches. But we also then have done pop-up art and nature activities. So they're hands-on activities, creative ways of learning about the environment.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And really themed on the river and themed on our local environment.
So
here.
is that aimed at mostly children?
Mostly kids.
Mostly the kids show up for that, and I bet they really enjoy it.
Yeah, and we do them at community events that are already, in place. So we just kind of show up and set up for a couple of hours, and there's usually a National Park Service ranger that's with me, and and so kind of get to engage, the people who come to those various events.
And that goes through October 13th.
Yes, our last one of the season is on October 13th as part of Carpenter Nature Center's Apple Fest. So we'll be at the bench
Now
there.
where is that exactly?
Carpenter Nature Center.
Yeah.
It's in technically Hastings, so
I've driven
on
by
95 between Afton and Hastings.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, if you haven't been there, it's really a
Well,
wonderful
I know
nature
where it is,
Yeah.
kind of. So I will definitely have to go there. And I did have a chance to go there with my garden club too. Question, is anything going to be in Hudson on this bench, artwork, whatever? There's some benches down by the river.
There's an art bench. The river bench
Yeah.
is in Picnic Point
Yes.
in Lakefront Park.
Oh, yes.
So that was, I think, back in 2008 we unveiled that bench.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And so we did we did books and benches events
Oh,
with
I
the
think that's
library
wonderful.
this summer, and then did a pop-up during Riverfest.
Oh, so I
You missed it this year, but
Well,
there's next year.
Thank you so much. And I know you have a lot more going on during the year, but you have wonderful brochures and they can stop in and get that. Or is there a website too?
Yeah, well, of
think
course.
it's on the Phipps website.
The Phipps.org.
Yep,
That
that's
would be
what
a website.
I found it on.
Yeah, that would be the website
That was
for especially for Heart of the River.
Yes.
We've got everything on there, all the related programs, and there are a number of them.
Great.
Yeah, so lots of different ways to engage in that exhibit. For the Art Bench Trail, we have its own website, artbenchtrail.org.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, but you
Okay.
can link there
I didn't
through
know
the
that.
Phipps website as well.
But I did press on art and a lot of things came up. So
Great.
I did go on that yesterday. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby.
Now we're going to John Potter, and the new brochure is out. I have been going through it. There's so many great things. We really have to have John here to tell us about them. And of course, it runs through 2019. So we're going to start with, I don't know what, but tell us about all these exciting offerings, John.
Thanks, Bobby. So the season actually started in July with community theater production of Always Patsy Cline, and that was just a great show. And then we followed that with Hooray for Hollywood by the Phipps Dance Theater in August, and they'll be back though later in the season. So that's the way the season started off. Then this fall in September we'll have a nice family gathering under the theater series, and that has the Lundeen family gathering for Thanksgiving dinner after Dad has passed away. And then all the adult children come home to be with Mom. Mom invites the neighbor, who happens to be a widower, and Dad comes back as a ghost. So it's an interesting day
very
at the Lundeen family. So then we follow that in November with Sister Act, which is a musical comedy based on the film starring Whoopi Goldberg. And that has a disco diva wannabe, Dolores, who happens to witness a murder. And so the police put her in protective custody in a place where they think the mob will never find her, which is a convent. And she doesn't really fit in very well there. However, the sisters do have a choir, which she then directs. So it's a very fun and uplifting show. In February, we'll have the Phipps Children's Theater performing Willy Wonka Jr., which is based on the Jane Wilder film, and then also the book Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, about 5 children who win a golden ticket to visit the chocolate factory run by the very eccentric and mysterious Willy Wonka. And they all learn a lesson in their visit there. And then the theater series will conclude in March with the Charitable Sisterhood of the Second Trinity Victory Church. I always have to look at the title. The Charitable Sisterhood of the Second Trinity Victory Church, which is about a wonderful group of church ladies who have many differences. They're all, distinct personalities, and they come together to help the community during a flood with quite a few surprises along the way. So it's a very fun show with a nice message as well about understanding and tolerance.
And is it anything like the church basement ladies?
I haven't seen that, but there might be similarities.
I haven't either, but I kind of think it might be a little bit that way and very funny, I'm sure, very humorous.
It is indeed. So then we have our music series, which will start off in October with Less is More and Friends. And their show is called Feelin' Groovy, Hippies, Hipsters, and Hip Huggers. And as you might expect, that will feature the music of the 60s and the 70s. And then we don't have a concert until January, and that features Shoop, which is 5 very fine vocalists, accompanied very tight 6-piece combo. And think Manhattan Transfer, New York Voices style. So it'll really fun concert. First time on our stage.
Yes.
And then we are very excited about a show in May. The St. Croix Valley Symphony Orchestra, under the direction of Dr. Kristen Chernohoy, will feature the soloist Irish tenor Anthony Kearns. And for those of you that might not recall who Anthony Kearns is, he is one of the 3 Irish tenors featured on the PBS special. So it is a real treat to have him here, along with a very fine orchestra, and they will be performing at St. Patrick Church in Hudson, because we anticipate a very large audience for that show.
Right, and I have seen it in Stillwater. At
I thought that
Trinity
was,
Lutheran.
yes, I thought that was a fantastic concert.
I did too, and he is just wonderful.
He
in
is.
the audience, and I truly like his voice.
We're looking very forward to that one. Then the Andrew Walich Big Band will perform 100 Years of Sinatra in May, and we close the music series with a newcomer, Lacey Carpenter, who was the 2008 World Champion Fiddler, and she has been dubbed the female Doug Kirchhaw. She also plays the guitar and is a singer and writes her own music. So that concert will feature traditional Americana as well as her own original compositions. And that is in June. The organ series features 3 nationally and internationally acclaimed artists. We start off the season with Dennis James, accompanying the silent feature film The Lost World, which is the forerunner of Jurassic Park by decades.
Oh, that's a
And that'll
great
be,
idea.
That'll be our October Halloween treat. And then Walter Stroni returns. He was inducted into the American Theater Organ Society's Hall of Fame in 2011. And then Jelani Eddington will be presenting a program called From Broadway to Hollywood in June. And Jelani also has been honored as an American Theater Organ Society Organist of the Year.
I know you always have the top of the line.
They really are.
Best ones. And, I love the idea of the October one.
That's always popular when we have
Oh, yes.
the Halloween-type film.
And I dare say there aren't many people that have heard the organ at the Phipps.
Well,
I'd be amazed.
we'd love to get them in there then.
Yes.
And this is a great entry point. So the organ was originally conceived to accompany silent films. So we're just taking it back to its origins, and you could think of it as an early synthesizer.
Yes.
Special events feature Once Upon a River, which is directly connected to the Heart of the River exhibition. Dan Chenard, a very well-known pianist, accordionist, will host the show and has also conceived it. He will feature the musical guest singer-songwriter Ann Reed, the River City Quartet, a barbershop ensemble, and Marty Harding's River Singers. And we'll also have poets, we'll have biologists, we'll have naturalists on, all in celebration of the St. Croix River.
Wonderful.
Scott Novotny returns with A Bar of Soap in the Mouth, a squeaky clean comedy show. In October, Scott is a well-known Twin Cities area comic, and he's bringing 5 comedians in the area, and he will headline that show. Davina and the Vagabonds return in October. Blues, jazz. If you haven't heard Davina before, she is really one-of-a-kind vocalist and pianist, and just blows the roof off. Another very popular ensemble, the bluegrass ensemble Monroe Crossing, will return in November. And then in December, the first weekend of December, we'll have the Phipps Festival Chorus performing An American Christmas, Immigrant Roots. And I believe you'll be performing with that ensemble, Bob.
I will.
So that'll take us to our I would imagine, European traditions and customs and very familiar Christmas medleys.
Yes. May I elaborate a little?
Oh, yes, please do.
Well, December 1st and 2nd, which is our normal schedule at the Phipps for that concert, the first weekend. And of course, it's a 40-voice chorus, and we will sample some of the most beloved Christmas melodies. And this will rediscover the traditions of our immigrant ancestors. So we will get to hear many different countries represented. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Jeg så glad, which is Norwegian. We have O Tannenbaum, German. We have Carol of the Bells, Ukrainian, which, oh, we love to sing. The faster, the better. We have Bogorodici Dievo, which is Russian, one of my favorites because it's so hard to pronounce, and we work pretty hard at it. So I'm just mentioning a few of the things because I think you would really enjoy the Christmas presentations there. So come to Festival Chorus if you can.
You did a much better job of that than
And
I
I'm
could
going to
have.
let John go on.
Well, thank you, Bobby. So the Phipps Dance Theater returns in January with a brand new production called The Jazz Age, featuring shimmies and shakes and flappers and gangsters. And so we're really looking forward to that one. The Community Theater will also produce a show in January called 84 Charing Cross Road, which is based on the book about the true life adventure of 20 years of correspondence between a vivacious journalist in New York and a rather staid antiquarian bookseller in London. And it's a bittersweet comedy, I would call it. And then the Phipps Oratorio Society will perform opera and oratorio encores, which I again believe you'll be performing in that show.
Yes, I always do. These are favorite things in my year that come up, every so often. The Phipps Choral Society, it's hard for me to say that because I'm used to it being the Oratorio Society. But this spring will feature opera and oratorio encores. So it's really in our repertoire, but these are things we've never sung. So hopefully we can really work on our operatic ranges. And we will hear things from Madame Butterfly, Aida, La Traviata, Wagner, Handel, Haydn, Bernstein, and Copland. So that's just a little teaser. I hope you get your tickets for that. Let me see, what's the date? April 14.
I'm guessing we may, even though we may not know the titles, we'll recognize the
I
music.
think you will. It will be very recognizable. Thanks to Maestro Thomas Daly, our director. He's putting together the program and he's almost done. But I do think people love these things. I know they go to the cities to see a lot with Minnesota Opera. So I think it'll be kind of a touch of that in Hudson.
Very, very good.
I'm excited.
And then the season will conclude with Ruben Ristrom and the Bourbon Street Boys Jazz Band, traditional jazz performed by members of the Upper Mississippi Jazz Band and the Barbary Coast Dixieland Show Band. So that's a great concert. People always enjoy it.
Very impressive.
It is. I think it's a great season.
A few new things and a few old things, but such interesting things you put in here. And I think even the drama that comes, I just love to go to the theater and see something. So I hope our audience listening will do that.
Indeed.
And now are we going to talk about the pricing or something
Well,
else?
thank you. No, thank you for that.
Okay.
There are a couple of things that I didn't mention, but let's talk about the pricing first. So all of these events are part of season ticket packages that you can create yourself. I have to have my notes.
I always
can't remember
have
all
to
of
do
this.
that too because these are such interesting numbers you put together.
So there's a package of any 3 events at a cost of only $20 each for a total cost of $60 for a series.
Amazing.
And then we have 5 events for $19 each for a cost of $95 for the series, or 7 events for $18 each, which is up to a 33% savings, and that's $126 for a series of 7 events. So really, I think it's just a great deal compared to any pricing in the area.
I always get the Create Your Own series.
Thank you for that.
And it works really well for me, and I do think those prices are phenomenal. I mean, that many events for the cost of $20 each, $19, $18, you can't beat it. And it hasn't gone up since last year, John.
Well, thank you for mentioning that as well, Bobby.
So I looked at that twice and I went, now, isn't that the same? And I was like, that's very impressive. So, because that's really thinking of our audience and so on.
Well, thank you. We
So-
try to keep it as low as possible.
Thank you for that. Now, we did skip over some things, so.
So in February, we had to postpone a performance of Sean Johnson Big Band Experience because of a snowstorm. And the soonest that we could get it on our schedule, and they were in the area, was October 6th.
Oh.
And so that will be presented at that time. We have limited availability for it, but that is not part of our special event series. And then the other thing is we will have 2 concerts on New Year's Eve, as we usually do. That'll be the day, the music of Roy Orbison, Linda Ronstadt, and Gene Pitney, and that will feature Wayne Lukow, Colleen Ray, and Debbie O'Keefe.
They're wonderful. And of course, Debbie's been on my show, and their music always sells out. In fact, sometimes you have to add a concert.
Indeed, we do.
I know that. That's wonderful. I have to go back to Sean Johnson just for a little bit.
Yes,
I think there's a following in Hudson for Tonic Solfa,
yes.
and I do think people would know who that is.
He is wildly popular.
Yes, yes, and I love that he's done this extra thing and this, I don't know, big band thing.
It's relatively new, so he's been with Tonic Solfa from the beginning, and we've had them a couple of times at the Phipps Center.
Yes, yes, I do remember a couple years ago, my cousin was here from Norway.
Oh, how nice.
I took her. She fell in love with them all, bought the CD. I was like, wow, I didn't know, that she would love it so much. And she still talks about it on Facebook.
How nice.
So, I mean, that was a big, big hit. And I do know a long time ago, they did appear at the schools too.
Yes.
They were brought in by the vocal teachers. And I suppose those people are now adults, but who knows? They might come back. I hope so. So those are 2 great ones, John. Anything else?
Well, I didn't mention the children's theater
Oh, yes.
productions. So we actually have a season ticket package for them as well. There'll be 4 performances, or I should say 4 productions this season. We start out with Tommy DePaola's Straganona, based on the popular children's book series about Grandma Witch and her magic. And that will be in October. Follow that with Bah Humbug, which is a musical retelling of the Christmas Carol, and that will be in December. I already mentioned Willy Wonka Jr. in February, and then we'll conclude the season with the musical adventures of Flat Stanley Jr., about a little boy who wakes up flat one morning and then gets to travel the world. So that's our children's theater series, and that features single ticket prices of $14 each for a total of $56 for a series of 4 events.
Oh, that's fair. Is that something new you're doing?
It's perhaps the 3rd season we've done that.
3rd season. Oh boy, that's wonderful. That Flat Stanley thing is rather popular, I believe.
Indeed, yes.
I've heard about it. And then the Bah Humbug. Oh, that would be fun to see. I just can't imagine. What ages will do that show?
Well, that's actually a multi-generational cast.
Oh, I love that.
So it will feature adults and children.
Oh, those are always a big hit.
They are.
Well, I'm just delighted to hear this. Wonderful, because children's theater is kind of my thing too. I mean, I do love it. I had to do it for 36 years in the
Goodness.
elementary schools, and I did a concert with every grade every year. Well, that was after I got past my first few years where I just let them do one every other year. And I just had to change that because, you know,
They demanded it.
that is the perfect thing for children who really, even if they aren't actors and singers or comfortable, they can find their place there at the Children's Theater. And they can even do sort of backup things. And who knows, that's probably where we got all our choreographers and all the other people that are behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. So I do think you have a very active program going there. And I love it. What fun. Now, did we forget anything?
I can't imagine.
Well, we've been through this whole brochure, Don. Well, I guess the only other thing I'm asking you to answer is about opportunities for volunteers. What do you do on your feet here now, right?
Well, we have so many opportunities for volunteers, and Anastasia may want to talk about visual arts programming, and then I can talk about volunteers in the performing arts as well as supporting services.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, so much of what happens at the Phipps is because of volunteers from the community. We have a very small staff to, you know, pull off all the programming that we do. So we depend upon, you know, the talent and enthusiasm and generosity, you know, of people from the community volunteering to support and really to help advise and guide what we do too.
Yes, so
in so many ways. So
do you put out an all call when you need help? And do you use your art council, or how do you do that?
Yeah, well, the councils, which are standing committees of volunteers who you know, help to run and program what we're doing. So yeah, I personally lean upon that group. You know, all the time and they're an incredible group of talented people, artists themselves, graphic designers, arts enthusiasts, and supporters. So. Lean upon them, but also, you know, very open to volunteer, more, you know, periodic, occasional volunteer support as well, helping in the gift gallery with sales there, helping at the art fair as well, to represent the Phipps at our information booths and to provide hospitality for the artists. Helping with installation, you know, on occasion.
Oh, that's a big job.
And I also really love to work with interns. So, you know, people who are kind of at that, you know, in college and, you know, kind of looking for how to make a career in the arts. And so I think we try to involve people, you know, and give them the experiences that they're looking for, you know, to work with our programs.
You actually inspire me to volunteer. I should get down there more and do that. Especially in your realm. That would be fun. Thank you.
Yeah,
John,
anytime.
Anything to add?
Well, so the majority of performers, both in the community theater and the children's theater productions, are all volunteers. The folks who build and paint the sets, the folks who run the lights and the sound and running crew backstage, all volunteers. All of the folks in the front of house, as we call it, the ushers, the ticket takers, the ticket office staff are all volunteers, and those who mail out the brochures and flyers are all volunteers as well. So we are completely dependent upon volunteers. We have approximately 750 on an annual basis, probably filling over 1,000 volunteer positions during the year, and regularly have over 40,000 hours of support on an annual basis.
Isn't that amazing?
It's staggering.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful that you've got that list and you've got all these people interested.
And can always use more.
And you know, like I always tell people, well, you've heard of the Phipps Art Center, haven't you? And some of the people in the city say, no, not really. And I describe where it is and how many offerings. And people are like, well, I really have to come to Hudson then. And I tell you, it has been just so wonderful for me to be connected with the Phipps in so many ways. But mostly the music, of course. But, you know, I really do. Remember when I was on the board of directors?
I do remember that.
Actually, John, you were quite good to me at that time. And I was even your secretary for a while. I was telling somebody that, and they went, "You were?" No, actually, I think people should think about that. If you need to get out and do something, or even if you're bored with your life, or the TV shows aren't that good,
We're here for you.
come down to the Phipps. There's always something to do. Or we are going to put some contact information on the screen, because we haven't mentioned too much about the phone and the box office and the hours, but we're going to put that on the screen for you, plus the website. So hopefully some of you will get inspired and sign up to help. But of course, we want you to attend things too, because it's so enjoyable. So much fun to see all these different offerings. Thank you two so much for coming today.
Most appreciated, Bobby.
It's just a wonderful time to start thinking about the year and what's included, and I'm pretty impressed. So I hope you all enjoyed the show today, and do come down and support the Phipps, and thank you for watching.